Hi there, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm John Merriman, and this is your Tuesday morning guitar song. Play along with me for a second, would you? Close your eyes and imagine the voice of Dionne Warwick when she was in her prime. For me, I get a little electrical charge and a feeling like I'm being touched by something from another world. And I think that's the feeling you get when you're hearing a truly great vocalist. You can open your eyes now, by the way. It's unexplainable to me. Her voice is like a total sensory experience. I feel great when she sings, and her voice is so tasty, and I almost see colors. You can tell I'm a real fan, right? In the 1960s, Aretha Franklin was called the Queen of Soul, and Dionne Warwick was called the Princess of Pop. And even though she was called a princess and she had such regal and nobility in her countenance, she just exuded natural sophistication and poise. Her life was not a princess storybook. It had real ups and real downs. During her life, she was always thinking of other people, whether it was sharing her God-given musical talent or starting the largest AIDS foundation ever, or being appointed UN ambassador to World Health. She was always looking at the horizon with her vision in the stars. If she would have just looked down, she would have seen people cheating her blind. At the top of her career, she was making maybe $100,000 a month. And then in 2013, she was forced to go through a humiliating bankruptcy. She was living in a rented house in New Jersey. She was down to her last $1,000, and she owed the IRS over $10 million in back penalties and fines for taxes. Now, she became famous very young. She was not a CPA. She was not an accountant. She did not go home at night and figure out how to cheat the government over her taxes. She was a kid, and she had to rely on other people, and these people cheated her. She ended up suing them and winning, but the money by then had all just disappeared. Well, she has now settled with the IRS, and she is doing fantastic. She has a world of friends, she has her legacy, and she has that nobility and beauty that will always be Dionne Warwick. She was born in 1940 in East Orange, New Jersey, to a very musical family. Her mother managed and sang in a gospel group, and her father was a chef who became a record promoter. Dionne started her singing at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey. And when she was a teenager, she started her own gospel group. It was called the Gospelaires. And as the case was back then, many gospel groups were often asked to come into the studios in New York and sing backup for big-name singers who were singing in New York at the time. And the Gospelaires were asked to come and sing backup for the Drifters at one of their sessions. So they came to the session. And during that session that day, the man who wrote the song for the Drifters was there. He was playing piano and conducting the orchestra. And he took one look at Dionne Warwick, and he knew what he was looking at. He was looking at a star. He was looking at something special. He knew it right away. And he wasted no time in signing her to his production company. She was now going to work for him, and she made sure of that. Oh, his name was Burt Bacharach. And by the time they were done, Burt Bacharach, Hal David, and Dionne Warwick was number 2 behind Aretha Franklin in the all-time charted female vocalists. Dionne Warwick became his muse and his inspiration, and him and Hal David wrote the great songs of the 1960s, being inspired by the voice of Dionne Warwick. It was like a three-way marriage. They were all great friends getting along really well. And then it all came crashing down. This was not a princess storybook, as I said. In 1972, there was a movie called Lost Horizon. Burt Bacharach and Hal David were going to score it and write the songs for it. Dionne Warwick had nothing to do with the movie. It was being sung by the cast members. Now, this movie was probably the worst movie of all time. It was a stinker of a stinker. And Burt Bacharach and Hal David's music came off so poorly in it. It was so embarrassing that it actually blew their partnership apart. It was 1972. Their music was getting kind of dated and almost silly. And so they just split. They were so publicly embarrassed by this that they never worked together again. And they went default on all their contracts. Now remember, Dionne Warwick worked for Burt Bacharach. He needed to provide her new music and produce her records, and he had disappeared. So she was forced to sue Burt Bacharach for breach of contract. And Hal David then sued Burt Bacharach, and then Burt Bacharach sued everybody. And for 10 years this went on, this legal crap. And they finally settled out of court, and they became good friends in the end, but their careers never really recovered. That was the top of their careers. And of course, Dionne Warwick went on to do other things, as you know. But the princess of pop was pretty much over. To me, she'll always be the princess of pop with that voice. And today, she is now the topic of your Tuesday morning fun fact. Here's your Tuesday morning fun fact. An artist's first single can be very important. If you bomb out and have a dud on your first single, life can be very tough and your career might be over very soon. If you have a big hit on your first single, life can become very easy and you're cut a lot of slack from then on. Dionne Warwick was 18 years old when she first signed that contract with Burt Bacharach, and him and Hal David had already written a song called Make It Easy on Yourself. Dionne Warwick loved that song and she wanted that song to be her first single, and they all agreed it would be Dionne Warwick's first single. Then, later on, she's at home listening to the radio, and she hears that song come on the radio, sung by somebody else. And it was sung by a man nonetheless, Jerry Butler. Well, she was furious. She hit the roof and she went back to Burt and said, "What's going on here?" And he said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We really we'll get you a new song. We had to give that away to Jerry because of contract problems, but we will get you a new song." And she said, "Now, don't make me over." And that was street slang for don't mess with me and don't con me anymore. Well, Hal David heard her say this to Burt, and he went home that night and he wrote the lyrics to a song called Don't Make Me Over. And he took those lyrics to Burt, and Burt put them to music, and it became a song, and they took it to Dionne. She really liked the song. She recorded it, and it became her first big hit, Don't Make Me Over. Now that's kind of a cute story, but there's more to it. When the song was pressed and released, it was discovered that they made a typographical error on the label and they misspelled her name. Her real name is not Dionne Warwick, it's Dionne Warwick, W-A-R-R-I-C-K, and they placed a W over that second R totally by mistake. And she was not happy with it, but the song had already gone out, it was released, there was nothing they can do about it, and her stage name from then on became Dionne Warwick. And that's your Tuesday morning fun facts. Let's go back to 1967. Burt Bacharach had no problem in saying that this song was the most favorite song he had ever written, and it is my favorite Dionne Warwick song ever. So please, don't go away. I'll be right back. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know your time is very valuable and I really appreciate it. Please like the show or like the page if you're watching it on Facebook. If you know somebody who likes guitar music or who is a fan of Dionne Warwick, please send them the show or share it on your social media. You are my word of mouth. Please come back and see me next week. And remember, you're never ready for your day without a song in your heart. Bye now.